Officially. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, Minding the Workforce Gap, Supporting Today's Public Procurement Teams. Today's webinar is being brought to you courtesy of Una Solutions and is being presented by Cindy Whitaker. If at any point during today's webinar you need any technical support, something isn't working right for you on the Zoom side, send me, my name is Jeff, a direct chat, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Otherwise, keep the chat selected to everyone so everyone can see the questions and the answers from the conversations that you're having. If you have any specific questions that you want to be answered, maybe at the end of today's webinar, make sure to put those in the Q&A box. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. If you can't find that, put them in chat. That works also. All right, Cindy, would you like to get us started?
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I am so happy to be here as a former NIGP member, spent 9.5 years in public procurement. So this conversation is very relative. And now that I work in private sector, coming from public sector, I feel like I can really relate to some of the topics here. So let's get started. As far as what we're going to talk about today, we are going to dive into three key areas, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video if that's okay. We're going to talk about three key areas of focus, the current state of the public sector workforce, the technology and values friction, and then supporting today's workforce. These topics actually came from feedback from public sector professionals about workforce trends and challenges that have arisen as we recover from the height of the pandemic. So workforce challenges have been a topic on many minds since the world began to open again in 2022. While the private sector bounced back quickly, the public sector is still feeling the crunch, especially in the state and local governments. Even though public sector employment is on the rise, agencies are facing mass retirements, turnover, and stiff competition. For talent with the private sector, and leaving public sector leaders on a lot on their plates. While the pressure is starting to abate, higher demands for public services mean job vacancies are still felt hard enough, and it puts critical functions and therefore the public's well-being at risk. While there are some factors out of control, public procurement leaders like you can take some steps to support and develop your workforce by exploring and understanding the generational makeup and unique needs of your current staff and candidate pool, the values and skills needed in today's working environment, and the tools and resources to support the changing landscape. So now that we've given some context on the situation many public procurement departments are facing, I'm curious to know what challenges you have faced that led to workforce satisfaction and retention issues. So Jeff's going to pull up a poll for everyone to kind of take here, and we're going to take just a few minutes to see how the group here is, how they feel about this topic.
Fantastic. That poll is now up. We see that 7, 8, 9, 10 people have already participated.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good. I really appreciate all the feedback, especially in here. It really helps us design some of these sessions with you all too. So knowing what these challenges that have led you guys to these areas too is really helpful.
All right, we're slowing down on the numbers. We don't want anyone that's driving to try to do this poll. So let's end the poll and here are the results.
Okay. Yeah, unable to compete with private sector. As mentioned, I actually left the public procurement space to work private, but not just for benefits, wages, things like that, but for various reasons. And I can see that definitely leading the poll there. Other interesting areas. So no one had any others that they wanted to share in the chat, but that's interesting to see that just inefficient manual workflows and processes is also second. That doesn't surprise me as well. And we're going to dive into that a little bit later in the talk here. Thanks, Jeff. All right, so next we're going to just talk about the current state of the sector workforce. And I know this is a hot topic right now, so let's start off with some background on the current state of that public sector workforce. So maintaining staff levels has been a formidable challenge for the public sector in recent years. Amidst a slew of terminations, voluntary departures, and retirements, there has been a struggle with keeping roles filled. Though public sector employment rates are slowly rising, there's far higher demand for public services, which is posing new challenges in workforce capacity. The rise in demand, paired with new funding for transportation, utilities, housing, and homelessness resources, etc., have generated new hiring needs for many agencies. Many public agencies like yours have access to funds that can fuel new and improved services for citizens, which is great news. However, maintaining the staffing levels needed to meet new required service levels has become a whole different challenge for public administration staff, especially for those in public procurement. Looking at just job openings, state and local governments saw the most empty positions overall, whether net new or vacated. While public sector hiring is rising, there's still nearly 1 million open positions in the government in governments across the U.S., with over half of those in state and local governments. I know locally, just speaking on my here where I live in Eastern Iowa, police and fire are really hard to fill those roles as well. Probably common across the country here. So workforce composition is changing in accordance with new generations, and currently the workforce is comprised of 4 different generations: baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. Please note that generations are not defined by hard science, but they are useful in understanding values and influences in work and cultural needs. Each generation typically holds a different set of values and priorities. Currently, the public sector workforce is mostly defined by baby boomer and older Gen X values and needs. And though these values are still extremely useful today and provide reliable structure and principles for the workplace, newer values are also being implemented and integrated. There's a lot that each generation can learn from each other. Baby boomers tend to desire more structure of responsibility and authority. They believe in company loyalty and are more willing to take risks to achieve work goals. Gen X brought about more of a laid-back work environment that provides greater independence. They prioritize productivity over the number of hours that are worked. They also are more willing to question the status quo of the workplace. Millennials take a different approach, seeking a relaxed, flexible work environment. They desire for their work to be meaningful, creative, and technology-centric, with higher value being placed on results. Gen Z began a trend of workplace values reflecting societal values. They seek workplace authenticity and transparency, with strong focus on diversity and social responsibility. Gen Z is known for its flexibility and adaptability to change, but it also seeks job security and opportunities for growth. Again, generational separation is meant to serve as a kind of guide. There is a value in understanding the influences and trends of each generation to help keep employment environments up to date with current generational experiences. Currently, the composition of the general workforce today is strongly millennial, though the public sector varies greatly from this pattern. For example, according to the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, the average age of federal employees has been over the age of 47 since 2013, and the number of retirement-aged employees outnumbers younger employees 2 to 1. The public workforce is known for having employees with a longer tenure, contributing to this generational difference from other professions. Naturally, with longer tenure being the staple and the generational composition that skews older, this contributes to the reasoning for many public sector workplace cultures being defined by baby boomer and Gen X workers. Public sector workplaces are currently facing a learning curve of combining these values with some of the newer values being presented. Another major contributing factor to workplace challenges have been technology. while the public sector began implementing technology into its administrative processes, it was out of need for efficiency, transparency, and a broader reach. At the time, this technology allowed for rapid improvements in the workplace regarding completion of work, streamlining processes, reducing errors, and accelerating response time. Mainframe computers, basic software applications, and rudimentary networking systems were implemented to automate tasks, store data, and improve communication. Unfortunately, this didn't hold, as the technology was relatively generic, designed to cater to the wide array of use cases. Entire programs were purchased as is, and very little opportunity for improvements or changes without upgrading to the next version, which was typically costly and labor intensive. Project complexities have increased exponentially, often requiring employees and managers to work beyond the scope of legacy systems. A tool that has been widely used in the replacement or coinciding with the legacy technology is Excel. This tool gives many of the benefits listed before, but also comes with many limitations, such as visibility issues, error-prone data, and version control struggles. Often, public procurement departments use things like Excel, local documents, network documents, email, and various similarly siloed systems to conduct their processes. This has led to technological friction. Public procurement teams also will typically use their agency's ERP systems for most of their core administrative activities. ERPs are, valuable in many ways, but typically cannot perform many of the in-depth procurement activities that you're conducting day to day. Significant shifts have happened socially, technologically, and economically in the past few years, and it's had several lingering effects on the workforce. Though introducing technology to the public sector was supposed to solve problems, which it did, with limitations, needs of the public sector, its citizens, and the workers quickly outpaced technology itself. So technology brought automated processes, enhanced efficiency, and broadened public access to services. This was an excellent step for public agencies to take. And this tech had been the norm for decades, but with the limitations of that tech has also compounded challenges over the years. Scaling up services, improving quality, and increasing accessibility, all while conserving resources, have put immense pressure on the existing tech infrastructure, not to mention the staff that use it. Keeping the same tech for sometimes decades generally comes from two places: cost and resource savings. Implementing those original systems and subsequent upgrades was almost always incredibly time-consuming, costly, and complex. So now public sector managers and other public leaders are hesitant to go through that experience all over again. The other reason is change and risk aversion. These long-held systems are comfortable, familiar, and perceived as a safe option to continue serving the community. Many agencies don't want to take on something new that their staff would have to learn all over again, and the associated or really perceived or very real risks. As we said before, outdated or generalized technology that's used for specialized administrative functions, such as procurement, often leads to unnecessarily complex workflows. This leads to manual and time-consuming tasks, resulting in a waste of valuable resources. An example of this may be that a local government's procurement team receives all their bids through mail, which is really sometimes still happening all over the place. I've talked to many people that are still doing things through mail. As many of you know, the paper bid process is strenuous, and it often involves a very lengthy initial evaluation and compliance review. If the team has a meeting scheduled 2 weeks after receiving bids to discuss scoring and evaluation, but the team doesn't have their initial review finished, this throws a wrench in the plan. With low visibility into the work into the process, procurement leaders lack understanding of where the staff is in the process, if they've completed the reviews, or if they have completed the reviews correctly. This process is naturally inefficient and error-prone and can lead to many setbacks, upsetting the stakeholders and the agency and suppliers. Another issue that agencies often run into is regard to legacy technology is the lack of integration and compatibility. Older technology may not be compatible with other technology used in your agency or newer systems, making it difficult to collaborate and share information both inside and outside of an agency. This leads to siloed data and hinders the ability to make informed decisions based on complete view of all the relevant information. For example, when your team is conducting scoring and evaluations for an RFP in separate locations, such as a series of local Excel files, this leads to a lack of visibility. Even more, it makes collaboration and version control extremely difficult. Mistakes cannot be caught as easily, and evaluators may have to redo entire sections of work, adding unnecessary frustration and lengthening the process for everyone involved. The next issue that legacy technology can cause is security risk. This is a big red flag in the world of tech today. Organizations are increasingly vulnerable to cybersecurity threats as those threats continue to advance, and adding the element of outdated technology only makes it worse. There's an overall lack of understanding of the threats present with outdated processes and legacy tech. These vulnerabilities can increase the likelihood of security breaches. The next limitation that you'll often find with legacy systems is inadequate or disjointed communication and collaboration. We've touched on this with a few of our previous examples, but in a digital-first world, effective communication is extremely important. Rather than helping, outdated tech often hinders collaboration. For example, a procurement leader that is trying to decipher reasoning for scoring decisions and RFPs could benefit heavily from a cloud-based software that allows them to view the evaluations in real time, work collaboratively with the evaluator, and be able to easily gather justifications. The final piece of the puzzle that causes struggle for procurement teams is the fact that legacy systems tend to cause a reactivity over proactivity mindset. Most legacy or generalized tech usually lacks mature planning capabilities and needs that web of workarounds to be effective. So staff that often are spending time on inefficient processes, leaving little time to look beyond what's in front of them. This makes it difficult to plan for change, and it also tends to lead to reactive Band-Aid type solutions. Taking on tech in public procurement was an excellent step to take, but as it ages, the challenges are compounding. The public workforce needs more support than ever as their workloads are increasing and they're having to operate off patchwork processes. So public procurement has also seen a large shift in the evolution of skills that workers possess. In the past, procurement professionals were expected to have highly specialized and technical skills to perform their jobs effectively. However, with the rapid advancement of technology, the demands of these roles have shifted as many technical tasks have become automated or can be completed more efficiently. This change, though it seems daunting, has opened up opportunities for employees with those highly specialized skills to take on more purposeful work within their roles. As technology takes over more mundane tasks, public procurement pros can focus on utilizing their talents and skills to take on more strategic, impactful work that in years past would have required a lot more resources. More employees than ever, especially in younger generations, highly value skill development for these kinds of strategic tasks when choosing and staying with an employer, which leads us to our next section. So let's take a look at the way society has evolved in its value system and how it's affecting workplaces today. This quote driven by factors such as globalization, environmental consciousness, uncertain economic climates, and social justice movements, workers now expect more than a paycheck from their employers. So the pandemic brought about many of those changes as employees had to adjust their lifestyle in a short period of time. This time brought about self-reflection and more consideration of the companies employees were working for. So a newfound desire for workplaces to align with personal core values has created a higher standard for all workplaces, not just in the private sector. The core values that many employees would like to see implemented in workplaces are mission-driven work, diversity and social responsibility, flexible work and better work-life balance, fair compensation, and growth opportunities. The desire for mission-driven work spurs from what want to do good in the world. There's more demand than ever for a higher calling than just pushing papers. Their hunger for mission-driven work, and public procurement is a great environment for it. Younger generations tend to be more innovation-minded, and they're more likely to challenge the "this is the way it's always been done" mentality from, often found in long-tenured public sector workforces. Plus, working together with the wealth of knowledge, experience, and strong foundations of the older generations is a recipe for impactful change. In regard to diversity and social responsibility, there are a multitude of ways that public procurement teams can take charge of this. One of them is biggest of it is being vendor diversity. Vendor diversity is a proactive business program that encourages the use of diverse business within the organization's supply chain. A diverse vendor is qualified as a business of 51% or more owned by an underrepresented group. Some of the values that can bring your organization is an increase in competition. This ultimately will lead to better value decisions. It also promotes innovation, both internally and externally. The next core value that employees across the sectors of work increase value is flexibility to work and an improved work-life balance. This may include hybrid work models or a 4-10 schedule, 4-10s. This comes from a rise in burnout, increasing demands of personal and familiar responsibilities, and a desire to live fulfilling lives both at work and outside of it. The final core value that people are focused on today is a fair compensation and growth opportunities. With the economy in its current state, many workers have begun to evaluate their pay in relation to the work that they do. And this has led to events like the Great Resignation and quiet quitting. People have been leaving positions, sometimes positions they've held for a long time for better pay, improved work environments, and more opportunities for career growth. This doesn't have to be the story for your organization, though. So creating a workforce that supports employees' needs, values, goals, and goals creates a more passionate, innovative team. We've outlined a few ways that public procurement managers and leaders like yourselves can make jobs at your agency more attractive and create an environment that matches today's values. The key areas that you should be focusing on are aligning with the employee's purpose, prioritizing work-life balance, fostering a culture of learning, providing defined career paths and growth opportunities, embracing diversity and inclusion, and demonstrating social responsibility. Let's talk about aligning with purpose. Mission-driven work is an approach that is incredibly valuable in public sector agencies. Employees are often tasked with solving community and societal problems through their respective job functions, such as improving services to underserved parts of their community. Procurement managers can start by communicating the value of the position or creating more impact in a position by freeing up employee time for better use. After all, procurement plays a huge role in keeping agencies and communities running. Though procurement teams' hard work and expertise, cities can be better prepared to respond to disasters. Cities can be better prepared for disasters, provide schools with the learning resources they need, or allocate cost savings or other high value functions. Empowering employees to use strategic and critical thinking skills about the job that they're performing breathes purpose into their roles. The next thing that you can do is prioritize work-life balance for your employees. Acknowledging that employees have commitments outside of work and supporting flexible work options is a great place to start. Public and private sectors often find themselves competing on the grounds of flexible work environments. Consider an approach to hybrid work options, flexible hours or compressed work weeks. Though many agencies' current tech stack may not support remote work, newer tech models can help ease workplaces into these variable options. If flexible work environments aren't feasible for your workplace, taking steps to ensure workloads are reasonable and allow them to put their time in at work, but also enjoy their home life is a great step in the right direction. Finding ways to implement some flexibility can go a long way to improve job satisfaction and lower turnover rates. Another thing that leaders can focus on is fostering a culture of learning. And that's great that we're all here today on the NIGP webinar, right? So there's no one size fits all model to approaching this. There is a variety of ways to keep your workforce up to date with the most relevant skills, like changing technology, new strategies and approaches to employees' job functions, or ways to help work environment become more inclusive. If you can create a culture of continuous learning through access to course catalogs, opportunities for practical learning or mentorship programs, you'll begin to see a difference in employee morale. A great resource that you can pull from are the baby boomer and Gen X generations of your workplace. Since the public sector often has longer tenured workers, these employees hold a wealth of knowledge and experience that incredibly values to teaching the younger generations. The next area of focus is providing a defined career paths and growth opportunities. Intentionality goes a long way, especially with the newer generations moving into the workforce with ambitious career goals. Leaders should understand the roles of their employees, required skills, and how that role progresses through the defined career path. Creating opportunities to develop and use new skills are steps agency leaders can take in the right direction. Next, embracing diversity and inclusion initiatives, creating a culture that celebrates experiences from people with varying races, ethnicities, religions, abilities, ages, and genders doesn't just improve and widen the hiring pool, but it also breathes new life into a workplace. Some of the results you may have begun to notice are alternative approaches to challenges, innovation, and an increased satisfaction of your current employees. Some practical ways that these initiatives can take shape are through internal training on unconscious bias, forming a management culture that encourages open dialogue, and creating a space where employees from all different backgrounds feel safe to share their ideas and concerns. In the same vein, also ensure that your agency is demonstrating social responsibility. Show commitment to ethical, socio-conscious, and sustainable practices through day-to-day work. A few ways that you can start implementing these are internally, that you can adopt environmentally friendly practices, invest in renewable energy sources, and minimize waste production from the day-to-day work. This could, also be as simple as digitizing your bidding process so that you aren't receiving stacks upon stacks of paper in the mail for RFX documents. As mentioned earlier, public procurement is uniquely positioned to take this on. Fostering ethical, socio-conscious, and sustainable procurement that breaks down barriers to entry for disadvantaged businesses, or ensuring suppliers uphold responsible labor practices and environmental standards. A lot of grant funding now requires elements of social procurement, so this is a great move for many reasons. And then organize employee volunteer programs, provide services to underserved populations, and support charitable causes. So once you begin implementing these new practices, you'll start to notice a difference in the work environment and job satisfaction of your employees that you maybe have never seen before. I'm so sorry. I think that just skipped. I'm so sorry. I think I just skipped like a few slides. Here we go. We're on 20. Okay, so to tie all these things together, taking a new approach into technology and process alongside the challenges that you're making your organization's value system will result in a better workplace. As we talked about earlier, new forms of technology have emerged to fill the gaps that previous technology was lacking. And so technology can now be used to support niche use cases, providing opportunities for the public sector employees to avoid the web of workarounds previously used. So when thoughtfully implemented, the new purpose-built tech solutions empower public agencies and their employees, driving improved outcomes for the communities they serve. But what does purpose-built tech look like? Modern approaches to procurement technology are more modular and work with many of the systems that agencies already have in place. The rise of cloud-based purpose-built solutions offer a more flexible, integrated approach, especially when working together with an established ERP. This means that agencies will have data flow between departments and functions, more automation, fewer errors, and flexible, customizable workflows. One of the key benefits of cloud-based solutions for public procurement is that the platform can evolve with the emerging needs and demands of the agency, employees, and communities, with no need to implement an entire new system, which is completely different than most legacy technologies. Implementing this form of technology may require a significant cultural shift. It involves breaking down long-standing silos and building a more collaborative and transparent work environment. Ensuring buy-in, change management, and the implementation are key ways to, public procurement managers that can move forward in this approach. Despite the challenges that this might bring, the benefits of the modular approach in terms of increased efficiency, flexibility, and adaptability can offer significant advantages for public agencies in the long term. Organizations that remain with their old systems and inefficient workflows may also struggle to keep up with the competition in the private sector and modern demands. These organizations tend to lean into the do more with less mindset, which historically has been pretty much the only way to function as a public sector agency. This mindset allowed for more efficiency at the time it was implemented, but over time it has compounded challenges due to the changing nature of the public sector. Not only does this impact the employees' ability to do their jobs effectively, but it also hinders the overall growth and success of the organization. Rather than trying to save money to avoid the real or perceived risk by using outdated or generic technology, investing in this purpose-built cloud-based system can lead to, cost savings among other benefits in the long run. With improved productivity and efficiency, employees can focus on high-value tasks and contribute more effectively toward achieving organizational goals. In the end, agencies can do more with less, but better way to look at things is doing more with more. This means more functionality, more time, more support, and more tailored solutions. So now I'll get to this slide since I just skipped to it earlier. So Chris Shield, the manager of procurement for the city of Vernon, was once said on the Bonfire podcast, if you don't have those tools in place already, people won't work for you. If you've got new people that have, been somewhere else and they have seen that you're backwards, they will take it as a temperature reading on your culture whether you're progressive or not. It kind of bites you, doesn't it? Really makes you think. As the technology rapidly advances, younger generations are more accustomed to intuitive and easy to use consumer technology. This has had a significant impact on the tech they expect in the workplace. With other generational factors contributing to this change, such as millennials and Gen Zs having a much lower tolerance for inefficiency, there is an expectation that technology used in the workforce is in the workplace is user-friendly, as what they want to use in their personal lives. So according to Salesforce, the staff who are dissatisfied with work technology are more than twice as likely to report feelings of burnout, twice as likely to plan on leaving their current employer within a year, and over twice as likely to recommend their employer. They're unlikely to recommend their employer as a good place to work compared to those who are satisfied. The goal is for technology to handle tedious, mundane work and reduce the element of human error that so often is part of the procurement process. By giving your employees space to focus on the bigger picture, they can, take on more innovative, strategic, and impactful work. So aside from employee satisfaction, modern solutions bring many other benefits to workers, agencies, and the public. Integrated systems create a source of truth and open, seamless information flow through departments and administrative functions. These systems also, provide one place for a team to collaborate on projects and task, eliminating duplicate effort and creating more cohesive work. This is revolutionary for the evaluation process, eliminating the need to, track down Excel spreadsheets or guess why certain scoring decisions were made. This creates better outcomes for both internal stakeholders and the suppliers involved in the bidding process. Beyond just the workflow, new systems help you and your employees stay more informed, collaborative, and efficient, which in turn leads to better, more impactful evidence-based decisions. Another benefit you'll notice that purpose-built systems ensure, accountability and promote a strong communication wavelength for supplier management. Those most up-to-date tech adhere to ADA guidelines and enables broader accessibility and ease of use to citizens and employees with disabilities. And finally, the centralized information and automation of manual data entry and calculations means fewer errors and easier compliance and audit trails. So the overarching theme that we are noticing here is that implementing the right tech and creating a satisfied workforce creates better community outcomes, which is the goal of every procurement team. Modern tech and process alone aren't the magical solution to a stronger, more satisfied workforce, but understanding employee needs and values, the changing social and digital landscapes, and how tech brings value to everyone, including communities, is key. Creating the right environment of modern technology and engaged, passionate employees increase operational efficiency and effectiveness, allowing agencies to reduce project cycle times, and respond quicker to and more impactfully to community needs. The greater resources and access to a robust group of suppliers, agencies can also ensure that they're committed to social responsibility. Using suppliers that fall under a disadvantaged business category and ensuring suppliers uphold responsibility, labor practices and environmental standards are great ways for procurement teams to make a positive impact. And when you implement purpose-built procurement technology, you'll begin to notice changes such as transparency and accessibility. Modern tools allow citizens to easily access and understand information about public services and initiatives, building a climate of trust and engagement between the community and the agency. The modernization of tech and process and public procurement also enables improved, more strategic resource allocation. By increasing supplier competition, cost cost savings can be generated and put towards areas of high need within a community. This approach ensures community needs are better met with more equitable service distribution. And finally, from an internal standpoint, better tools and processes mean agencies can focus more on how their citizens interact with public services and how employees manage and respond to interactions. Creating a more efficient and tech-forward procurement team is not just about streamlining operations. It's about empowering employees to do the best work they can and making public services as accessible, effective, and impactful as possible, all in the name of best serving citizens and communities. So as we get ready to wrap up here, we want to know what key challenges you're tackling in your tech burst this year. You know, a few different things here, and Jeff is going to throw up the poll, but you know, inefficient, error-prone processes, lack of integration and compatibility, security risk with legacy systems, and reactivity over proactivity. And if you have anything else you want to share with us in the chat, please do so. And we'll just give a few minutes here. Or not a few minutes, just less than a minute.
Results are coming in. We have about 40% have participated. It looks like 2 have said other, so you may want to pay attention to the chat as they tell us in chat.
Okay. Ah,
All right, we're going to close
integrated.
the poll in 8 seconds.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm seeing integrated systems are becoming more and more used in the industry. It's so true. Understanding our workers' needs, very important. Yes. Failure to plan, plan to fail. Lose all your staff. Great point, Christopher Smith. Accessibility.
Here's the
Oh,
results.
wow. Okay. Yeah, lack of integration and compatibility. We do hear that a lot. And that's, I know that's something that Una Solutions is really excels at, is integrations with other, you know, like ERP systems. We really supercharge those ERP systems with our products here. And that is one of the huge things that I do here when talking to, you know, prospective clients. I'm going to read some of these chats too, just to see if there anyone else. Yeah, someone was just seconding Christopher's. You're right. Government agencies don't want to spend more on upgrading to the latest technology. A lot of times what I found, Cheryl, with your comment is that, you know, if you want to be strategic in procurement, just kind of doing your own cost analysis. And then there's also tools out there, like we offer a tool, an ROI tool, just to see what your return on investment would be. And sometimes it really does take over maybe a few tools that you're already using, and then, you know, replacing it with a tool that can be all inclusive with everything you need in it in one spot. End users not being compliant. End users not being compliant has been and continues to be the biggest challenge. No technological advances are going to help if they don't use the tools. That is so true. Like we really talk about that too. Like the tools mean nothing if there's not great user adoption. So, you know, getting people on board to use the tools, what they're made for, is really, really huge. But yeah, that is a really good point, Tanya. Lack of integration. Okay, yeah, that's another common one here. Yeah, I really appreciate everyone's feedback on here. I guess there could be was there some Q&A as well? I guess I don't have that pulled up, but looking at the chat here, this is really great feedback.
Cindy, we do have a couple of Q&A questions, actually.
Okay.
If you want me to read those out. So first one, how can NIGP and each other support proper benchmarking, including actual staffing levels and workloads when understaffed? So all work gets done, no paid OT or comp time.
Wow. And they're asking NIGP that, or kind of
I
my,
think it's more about the best ways to find support systems across all of your different networks. So
okay.
NIGP, your peers
Um,
in procurement, the tools that
well,
you're currently using.
yeah, something when I was in procurement, that I definitely utilized was networking with the other NIGP members across the state. I'm in Iowa, and we had a great network of public procurement folks. So we'd support each other that way. If like we were starting a new project and we were like, hey, what kind of things should we have in our scope of work? So utilizing and really relying on your network of folks. And then I know that NIGP has great tools and resources for I think they have a library, or they used to when I was in procurement, for RFPs and such to kind of help get some of those things off the ground. Now I know that within our tool, especially um, for within Bonfire, we have a community project tab with over like 65,000 publicly ran RFPs, bids, what have you. So that really helps in like saving time if you're, doing a procurement that you've never done before. And then also, I think this has been a hot topic too, is just utilizing some of those, uh, cooperatives that, some agencies can't do it, but a lot of agencies have found value in utilizing cooperatives to save time, especially if you're buying commodities. A lot of times those things could be on, a cooperative to purchase off of. So that does help with the workload and, not having to do a lengthy bid or RFP process. And then I'm just trying to think what else, just utilizing your network is one, but was there another question?
Yeah, we do have a second question. So, what is being done for executive procurement leaders and middle and frontline managers be adjusted in their goals, performance, annual evaluations to adjust to the new workforce needs for morale, retention, etc.?
Yeah, what is being done? Gosh, I really wish I knew that answer. I just think like putting the right people in those spots that can help support you as well. I know that like in my former position, like we went from 5 folks in our procurement team, and then when I left, there was only 2 of us doing, the work that 5 people did. But I think like even just kind of like not passing responsibility on to anyone else, but also utilizing other people's talents. Like especially if there's someone that is a good strategic thinker or something, bring them into the mix. Say, if they're in a different department, bringing them into procurement, make them part of the team as far as like, hey, this is your budget. Let's think ahead. Let's start planning. Let's being strategic about, when we're going to go out for bid, or just bringing more people in. And also, I think when you do bring more people into procurement, you do tend to, more credibility for what you're doing, but then also, um, you make those relationships within the agency, and then they're going to tell you like, hey, this is coming up, or just opening up that communication and tearing down barriers and the silos within a lot of agencies that I see. So for those, people in leadership, I just say try to get more people involved, or get yourself involved and get yourself inserted in the conversations with budget or planning for procurements. So that'd be kind of my suggestion for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, the buy-in can be difficult. Yeah, I'm seeing some comments here like buy-in can be difficult for field staff. Yeah, it's so true. And as a former procurement professional myself, it's just getting a lot of times reviewed as the roadblock, but really we're trying to keep my manager always used to use this line, we're just keeping people out of jail. So it was always just, we're just trying to be here to be compliant and help everyone stay out of jail, so. So I have the next slide that I have here. I don't know so we have actually a resource that you can download. It's about supporting today's public sector workforce. You can download a copy of this, and maybe this could be something you add to your tool belt. Especially, I know some of the comments here, getting difficult for buy-in. Maybe these can include some ideas for you to, help figure out your current workforce, how to get them involved. Obviously, retention's a huge thing, especially with the younger generation workforce. Getting them excited about public procurement. We do make a big impact, and I guess communicating that is, important to get, your newer employees involved and stay and just learn more about the profession. So, and I encourage people to come to these sessions, these webinars. I mean, we're all here trying to help each other, and I think it's great everyone's here trying to learn something new as well. So let me scroll to these comments, just make sure that I think I covered a lot. And yeah, you can look for me on LinkedIn as well. I love to connect with people. I'm in Iowa, but I travel all over the country, go to a lot of different events. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much ready to wrap up here if everyone is good. I don't know if Jeff wanted to close out the meeting, but I
Yeah, I
really
can do
think
that.
thanks everyone for your time today.
Awesome. Be sure to follow Cindy and connect with her on LinkedIn. And thank you, Cindy, and everyone else for your participation in the polls and asking the questions to give us even more content there at the end. There is an evaluation survey. We appreciate you filling those surveys out because it allows us to bring you more of what you're looking for. That survey is about to show up on your screen in just one moment. Here it is. Make a great day,
Thank
everybody.
you.